history kesiye etimi esiye ewa Africa ha. Ohwe World Cup qualifiers na Group D abewiye enra. Na Group D ne bewiye no. Cape Verde for a top pace our group no with 23 points. Then Cameroon nya 19 points, Libya for nya 16 points and Angola nya 12 points. Ken, at the time our group no anasa draw ne ba bonte no. Me you pretty sure say se oka tre nipa dodo na say ye bobo group ni nyina ewie wo group D no. Why na obetimi atopi group no edi first a. Me you sure say nipa dodo na no ebetimi yi Cameroon national team no. Bayenra Cape Verde for ameki sa history no. Onim say omotwe Cameroon move 4 points. We are talking about Cameroon national team eba World Cup omabo mo homodem pa. By Cape Verde for move 4 points. Ama Cape Verde for ameki history for themselves. Any country they say for the first time ometimi qualify e dey ko FIFA World Cup. Ken ade ba ko to dey be a World Cup ya na countries ne ni abri bebre. Timamufo ne ni abri bebre so mpese omo country ne ko World Cup no. Eya sa o country ko World Cup a. Benefit eya country ni nya no esum bebre. Mekaye pass Ghana, your first time I qualified for World Cup that was in 2006. Ghana qualify and ken. Eba Ghana no be e kasafa Ghana. Obi wo home pokra because of World Cup and no team e krobi to say Ghana. Enti Ghana qualify World Cup no ken. Yenye a lot of foreigners ema omu ba kroma say, ombe kroma say no. Ombe nya ba biada. Ombe to aduane, ombe faka. Foreigners no eboa ma economy ni pijai after see you qualify for your first World Cup. You qualify ye no. Ona mo monten so a unhu MPP ni, unhu NDC ni. World Cup na Ghana you qualify no for the first time e de nkabo mu e de ball man nim. E de anigye e de ball man mu. Enti country bi a qualify for World Cup for the first time again. Eya na benefit as a country ni nya no eya na esu bebre. Ensa wo cheke Comoros a World Cup you ma qualify no. Se ofa baabi a ana obi a Cape Verde because Cape Verde a qualify for mo first World Cup. So what take Cape Verde as a country a nipa dodo sign e wo ho. Based on numbers omo population 590,000 and e wo Cape Verde say. Even Kumasi for crowd also say Cape Verde kro ni nyina. Enti eye kro kitwa bi and o ma qualify for mo first World Cup. From enra no mo qualify be sine no. Internet ni so obi search Cape Verde. In some for big media stations in obi e ka Cape Verde no asem. Enti abema Cape Verde as a country abaye popular. After so mo qualify for mo first World Cup. Enti obi o ho a onim Cape Verde until Cape Verde dinda. But ati say Cape Verde a qualify for omo first World for the first time no. O betina si aba be search omo ye hwan mo. Die mpokra na omo ye wo ho. Enu ko Cape Verde sesi a ade ba ko ebu omo economy ni pa no eye tourism. And to be onim Cape Verde because of World Cup, because of football no was such a Cape Verde when say no tourism no was through and to be to make bookie flight ako Cape Verde or cookroom wa or this kind of ho and to World Cup back kwa Cape Verde for a qualify no obi a can wasem a corona country na be popular e be generate a lot of income at the country no and to World Cup the kid so we kro e qualify bia e ya na feeling ni different and if it is a Cape Verde for enya independence in 1975 abro mo ti omo ho efri Portugal ho no metima catch say adekase ba ko esi krom opa no eye World Cup no mo qualify ade ana Cape Verde fonim say eye adekase pa ye say 1975 from be gain independence from Portugal we independence if you are World Cup you ma qualify the king eye adekase e de ma Cape Verde as a country because ade o man down some ho da ye da no because first no Cape Verde no mo ye part of Portugal so from 1930 World Cup ABC 1974 no mo nye part of FIFA and I say no mo nti omo no mo ye part of Portugal and etire no omo so ba ya from 1978 eba 1982 World Cup e Spain na omo nye affiliated to FIFA enti no mo ntimi en qualify but mo gaining independence no omo try so betima qualify for the World Cup and enra nyame nchade omo timi qualify obi bebusa say the secret of Cape Verde omo football net say ken na me ye reading bi na me hwe mo video bi na o reading na akwa ekira eye nyoma mienu ana amene Cape Verde team qualify for the World Cup. The first thing we decide is on be say on be develop a local talents no omo ti krom ho no on be say develop omo no masa komenti akọ amanone akọ ye recruitment omo nchi every Verde enti so what check Verde for players na bebre na no wabo Portugal under 17 under 19 under 20 enti omo bring local talents no na omo say ye recruitment outside omo nchi esusu every Verde no ana omo beka omo ho ede abom enti so what check Verde omo share sa project we say in 2010 Kenonim said the last 4 AFCONs omo to me qualify no akobi no the last 2 and I said 2 emu mienu omo kodu quarter final even recent AFCON ebo Ivory Coast no South Africa na yi omo efri mu enti omo your mind back gradually omo develop your football and many aje e ama a country to say Verde say for the first time omo timi qualify na dia back akin US o Verde de be kono beautiful ladies okop tournament a Verde na beautiful ladies de omo tie de ba enti Verde ye be hwe omo first time e World Cup nyame aduma 2026 e US Mexico and Canada. Big ups to Verde omo football in the federation nyina. And also yeah witness another history betime we be bremu ase because o check Nigeria so helped against Benin, South Africa so helped against Rwanda. By March attention e be so kese pa no Nigeria and a Benin game no. Kenonim say Nigeria omo neighboring countries no Benin ka ho bi. On the east side na Benin wo Benin ni Nigeria de omo bohye omo ni omo ho ye and attention kakra edo omo mu enti apart from football na nkasa no that political tension kakra na ewo Benin ni Nigeria mu no ebesa ma game ni ma hiti payi by ken yemfa bibia nto nchen ene Nigeria obi to say Ademola Lookman enti mean say can because of a suspension accumulated yellow cards Ola Aina ewo injury we players in Pokron be out of this game in Pokre free wa Nigeria wo enough quality say on any day I was so mutimi gina Benin enim no mutimi she Benin say Nigeria ye ka player for player Africa say omu krebi from Victor Osimhen Samuel Chukwueze indeed Diales Iwobi Basimo o dey compare Benin players na emutwe at the same time Nigeria force our good record against Benin and it's what check omo from 1977 ebesi na Nigeria any Benin abo 19 times. 19 times and Nigeria any Benin abo no. Nigeria win mu 14. Benin win mu 2 and mu miensa abo draw. And in terms of individual materials, Nigeria was so same Benin. Eba records Nigeria was so same Benin. Bible sound say edi enti na Benin fo no wogidie say. And on betima kwa question Nigeria. Edi enti na so far qualifies in Benin enya more points. Ese enti me friend say Nigeria. The answer is simple. Nigeria will individual names, by a back collective play now, and a back team. Omusia kanya commitment was Ropana a Benin national team, no. And Tiadia and Benin, Emo Mujidi so metima question Nigeria, no. That collective play no mubi, a saying team and friends in Nigeria, and that commitment level no mu players ni sia kanya. On person muku hono by a bad records, a bad individual brilliance. Nigeria for the Ewosro, South Africa for the Omber so be renew mu game. No ma bom pa say Nigeria betima she Benin for so die omo da go die hia no so betima win game we se Benin win say kukuro another history esi ewo Africa enti ene ye ba ko witness sa game no ken we a story be about Barcelona camp on say recently Barcelona for results eba na enkoyi losing against PSG wo UEFA Champions League oko Ramon Sanchez P1 ese kwako lusu against Sevilla. Enti sa wo check results ane enkoyi nansin. Ana news bi ebe free Barcelona camp ababia player we epra player we ko national team due to epra enti news e free Barcelona camp oba no eye ana enye news a de bebre. Lewandwski dia ba amwa ba beka. Kiunu ni say oyo stories ya na me monitor Barcelona. The reason why ana wo ye Rafinha de no. Ye say Rafinha de no. Eye setback no asenya. Ewo ni injury no na Barcelona for hope say at least enya hwe kra na nkombetima rest ya managina against Girona against Olympiacos but against Real Madrid ewo classico ni no ankombetima ye 100% fit no ababa besi akande ama Barcelona but the recovery session no an okunya wasa akunya setback which is a bad news for Barcelona because every coach every football club ya empire boni ye say injuries ewo football mu Nemum say injuries never do so bebra. Affect team ni play. Affect team ni results. Affect team ni system. And to say we check the current Barcelona injury list, no. Now we check players or mepra. So far, Barcelona for the first choice goalkeeper. Wepra. Barcelona defensively enye the best. By goalkeeper ne by one Garcia by no. Obe showcase me wiase nyina hu say we beat Barcelona defensive line in pokra na or ye goalkeeper dem o ma Barcelona for no arehyiemu say obetima save or ye out. Barcelona mfimfin ho players ni bi eprepra. Na baby ama Barcelona for ni esu kese kra na eyomanim ho. Let's not forget number 10s mienu no Dani Olmo ye out. Afina Femi Lopez every injury ever. Mu hope so obetima gaining the fitness. Lamine Yamal afino free injury ba or ye forward line player. Rafinha setback aba. Ferran Torres ekopra ye yesu obetima ye available. So obetima picky edru ni pick no eye question. I was ye busa ye ho Lewandwski akwa kopra. Ana Rafinha de so setback aba. Enti baby ama Barcelona ayi hu kese de ama no. Eye the forward line department. Enti se me ye Barcelona fana Rafinha setback no. Na me hwe the injury list na. Enim ho no. It seems say otutu eni akwa ye Marcus Rashford. And the reason why Rashford numbers I was thrown, I say majority of players, Barcelona players na 100% fitter. Definitely on the right side, Ebe Lamine Yamal, left side and Ebe Rafinha. But because of series of injuries, and also so I make room for Rashford say also bet my perform by Rafinha. Epran de kin setback because season is too young. Barcelona injury list na do so dodo. And me feel it for Hansi Flick, to be honest.
Maybe February here Panama.
Back in one shot, the Susu, I see you so hard, you know.
Some of the season, honest, Tatiana.
In a season,
or no, last season, say at this stage, no, the best player we are saying.
Rafinha. Yeah.
And he or betraying that Tana Dembele in pride.
That
Tana Dembele, so no count.
No count.
The Dembele train, yeah.
But one thing is to say, Oka season, no. Yenyendu ebi ehia pa na otina ho na ulusu na madu di twim na baby say that time I be picking na maybe say man you compete no how
say the answer sana ma adwen yemi because Rafinha last season as at this stage not the best player. Jude Bellingham 2 seasons ago no be a man no but Nkofobi the last 2 matches be den e be the be win here into on train
but are we
on train so February no waba
are we talking about individual and as a club? Oh, say Barcelona for because a team never con anymore. And what's so all the big guys
how they run the system they so be qualified that time they run the system.
Also we know players
that time run the system.
The Kwame person what training say from February to the end of the season o pa sheni nyina. Na se season yeah starts no one starts here for so be no be so. But what I say if you start losing your point today now kwaya from February to the end of the season
or the Champions League no someone is chassis
two best what say
La Liga en fan Ballon d'Or ana the league Ballon d'Or
the next Champions League against Olympiacos na Barcelona ko drop points
oh they be on qualify
even without Rafinha no they can qualify
na Rafinha on home no mbra mamu se sana Jude so person here omo nyina etwe omo tete o ka so mbebo bom so mopra omo pray na Dembele asat last say this are no bobo na bono bobi
oh now said that Dembele anka started ball from the 15th of December
and enyo na best player we say and baby here no beba timon twetwe
no but honestly I think say you should be much concerned pa we Barcelona fan we Hans Flick
players no make Semenyo players no enye Barca players no nko players across especially top players injuries say ne ba bi ne ye kakra bi anko de bebo last season ahwe ni wa omo
World Cup
omo this who say you fully fit answer na wa ba bebo body ama wo enti ebesi bebre ebesi bebre obeti yes player we or kobe 1 week we kobe 2 weeks e wo mo obeba oba bebo but one a panier some farmer omo
they be and panier some they say there because the ideal thing is that normal season players ne you be one panier or you okay one you we season no pre-season ni mo no not the agina home they are recover but this time around you we season na World Cup any near sheshe ho
hwe ene de ne ye sisi e se inaka training sisi ya inaka wa training sisi ya Say first pass and Ghana for Rebecca Sapa.
And your mum. Salami,
Ebina Lami so you know. Inaki, 8 but when Timmy, my boy, too much is no. But say, because no Kakrebi by, so can one or can we. Because World Cup
footballers are prioritizing the World Cup.
Yes, into World Cup.
But you see, the kind of conversation on the same. From the club's perspective, Hans Flick or Jamie Team. And to be very honest, injuries now piling up for Barcelona and I know you. Robert Lewandowski, Dani Olmo, Rafinha, Gavi, Juan Garcia, Ferran Torres, Lamine Yamal, and Femi Lopez. That's like 8 players. And as they say, Lamine Abba. And as they say, Ferran Torres, Roberto, and Femi Lopez Abba. In some moment, say, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Gavi, Juan Garcia. That's like 5 players and in your mind. I'll be last season, but what Girona game. It's clearly, it will affect the team. Na me kura na sam no kwame aka Rafinha sam. Robert Lewandowski situation, I am ya. Lewandowski, bear 1 year nie. Send your injuries ne air pile up no. Eya kwayam to say. And nunti na Barcelona for dream you say bia boy no omuntwa so. Ken Lewandowski ne papa obo judo ne mame obo volley ne sister obo volley ne yere enso so ya athlete ne yere crowd na saying or sans nutritionist into no ne body no with all due respect. First thing they bia me kan Lewandowski as someone baby, I will do with 37 years. So I'm the Lewandowski picture to television also. Now share the body no. First, what the man said, why very disciplined with his body. And yet 37-year-old the Biana or body beat to say Lewandowski, you know, it takes a lot of discipline to play at the highest level at age 37. And yeah, easy. I was so that. I was so rested with Jim Kakra, a Biani or Windy. It's any place being an it's me, yes, sir. It is all people at the highest level as age 37. Be muno, much respect to him before you talk about other stuff. And nothing up to now. One player I will always respect is Thiago Silva. There's a 41 so gusobo. All free Chelsea names are about 38 years. Oba Chelsea foforo nipa dodoɔ na ababe 80% ka se ontimi mo Chelsea not just because our son no mo say nimpom no wago but discipline and they didn't do this level. Shadow Ronaldo it takes a lot to get there. But once Lewandowski try pa no pa me hwɛ ne interview na okwaya the Polish national team was say eya na nkɔfo de the age na judge no feel say no ho yɛ only for or yeah, interview no way your tester was answer pra. Clearly, he also he's working very, very hard to say still an obey relevant Europe. Onye na dreams obeko Saudi Arabia, obeso twice born with Europe. But truth be told, Oko Paul and national team. First game boy na a friendly game against New Zealand. Mama na born because they want to protect him. And Oko Lithuania game na or share goal. And ye game no so o Philippines ne biceps ken ne sre ne chi no left ne sre ne chi no and ni mu we no and doctor say for us let's go and check because how there either say biceps na nka say na nya issue and so say e be betima hamstring am ko check here a serious injury mo inform Barcelona for no possibly e be a bare 1 month to be he's going out. I told Ferran Torres now so Ferran Torres so pray now say umuana abakakra umuana so they manage the ball no. It looks like Barcelona front train there obia say akwan mu bie pa dia ma no Marcus Rashford and nothing me say he needs to take advantage of the situation because and we ya pra no akwasha ha ochina no we ya pra no akwasha ha it looks like he ball no this time he's getting more games. He needs to amass the numbers because clearly, if Rafinha, if Lewandowski, if Lamine Yamal fits are no contest. You see, me feeling for Hans Flick. He needs to manage the situation. e prano doso dodo say what breaking news for Barcelona or Barcelona fan o yem show say hey any me call for back we pra Ken Antoine Semenyo saying positive news pa na eba na metie o story no na say Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal and I serious about Antoine Semenyo. Manchester United omo boni din ebeta Semenyo wa omo say for Manchester United a coach ne ne penasam omo bo Liverpool omo say Richard Hughes enim no of course Richard Hughes no oye adwuma de mo bomb of on a sporting director edema Liverpool se sia inti upe obi onim Antoine Semenyo a Richard Hughes na wahwehwem wa ba Arsenal waka Arsenal almost say almost sporting director Andrew Beta and a penasem inti ken 3 big clubs we 2 sporting directors and a pair Antoine Semenyo back your coach which is Manchester United. Now, in common on the clubs are looking at ways possibly on behalf Antoine Semenyo, and that is what clubs do. And almost say, boy, they extend a contract, let them bomb off no. Almost the release clause a shame. It's a possibility be you don't need to negotiate with bomb off. Just go and pay the money, and you are good to go. No question, a woman say. Who follow football? You nyaka release clause or no context. And my dear no cry for. Who Spainer? So obekuta release clause now open one. Just go and pay the money and you are good to go. Back in. The reality pa me kamu no credit achamo say. England release clauses na what's at wagimu. English clubs. So what is the release clause as will be contract more? And yes, Spain the any be a ya which is cardi at one now. England clubs meaning what is wrong with them? And it looks like MSA clubs no winning IS. First of all, release clause Okwa Spainer Obianim a non knowledge. Who can play away the born release clause I shall Obiaya away. England players release clause omudi see. Omun can't show that to say and may Antoine Semenyo the naba. Bomb of forces so can't the clubs no. Because clubs now your inquiry. On person who say release clause be or saying bomb of see omun because they want to keep the boy. But truth be told, contracts now between Antoine Semenyo and the bomb of into bomb of so on can Semenyo nim. Into the easiest way they say Semenyo person call Liverpool. Semenyo can easily tell Liverpool, say, me and me sign a contract, release clause, no, 70, 80, Obetinya can figure they actually Liverpool. Then Liverpool will go to Bournemouth and pay the money. And says, but I mean, try window for us or so. Sadly, way, Michael Olise to Chelsea, Crystal Palace, release clause 35, and Central for no question, 35. Crystal Palace, and Yano cre. Then Yahu said Chelsea for Eddie Sikako for Michael Olise. Crystal Palace for Munji Sikano. Then Michael Olise becomes a player for Chelsea. And a Crystal Palace for threatening Chelsea say, "What happy boy? A dynamo who say release clause no? A 35 million."
Just say, the year to say a 75. I won't confirm. Say a new 100 million for Semenyo. Say a barbon say figure near correct. It's just a team bia on a Semenyo edin komo bia no bomb of obetimi aka se what happened what the boy na kudin komo because your money Semenyo pay enim and again Semenyo so on family
na say agent so sign
yes family agent ka ho say don be like babonte
and no na mean say clubs na say
omo leki so a club no nyina beba betan Semenyo
and no ni asam no
bomb of no betan no
because you clubs no yeah, wouldn't the release clause now the same amount to qua or say what type of player no because club young can't show. How did you know? In the Chelsea's case, almost threatening Chelsea, some of the Chelsea back cast any FIFA and the Chelsea see ye trust and we ideal no. Mama more excellent example. Okay, Morgan Gibbs White, not some was a player no. Or Tottenham area no. The release clause no cost 60 million. And I'm not enough one said, Habi, we are then a moon says 60 million a shame, what happened? Enka a Spainer is Obianka tapping as some woe. Into Semenyo problem. release clause na de ane de da ho na mom club na ebe take decision so ope Semenyo no e was say oye very clean because who leave trace say ampa one boy na kasa we inform say release clause na X amount with yati because truth be told Ken Richard Hughes in the onim Semenyo in and out Liverpool team no baby a Semenyo ko na benye ni mugidie na boy na bobo na aye Liverpool left what the kwan mu ada ho Luis Diaz efri ho no sese akaka kodi gapo ena ebia ngomoha ena ebia Frederico Chiesa to some extent Semenyo chechre di obeba bodi of course
baby a salad na kra salad ne ho betima sia gina
well let's say Salah what the more plan if in the future they want to go and take Michael Olise what you say into left what the Kenya bad back in kitwe bi hwe France for no a omo asode si Kamavinga ene Semenyo so titru Kamavinga no omo titi break kakra boy no hu Ken I am sure so ono kra will admit say send you see pen and remade no onya ne sa because even last year alone, we checked the number of injuries a boy in India. In fact, I may say about 37 games, club and country, via injury. Ken, let me explain this. Ken, 2019, Madrid full framing round of 16th against Ajax. Don't make sure 4-1. 2020 against Manchester City. 2 seasons consecutive round of 16th. Madrid realized they needed to make changes in their midfield, not because Casemiro, Cruz, Modric, no Masan, but bench, the influence from the bench. Never from. Na Isco, Bono, a city Asiba, na Kadani Sibayosimo. One of those reasons was to bring on board Tchouaméni to take over Casemiro in the future. Tchouaméni situation, on the 80 million, a kofano bonuses can 100 million. All banner pressure from Monaco. Obaye, the ideal plan is a Casemiro bubble 1 year. Na Tchouaméni understudy no we take it over. Obaye na Tchouaméni. Sorry, Casemiro had to go to Manchester United. Into no one understudy and he throw no se onkobo. What I say? Into pressure ba no so until Jabi Alonso be ya afi ni yehwe se befa. Kamavinga de no. He's supposed to understudy Luka Modric and Toni Kroos mo. Obo understudy ni mo no. And Carlo Ancelotti no come left back because of the issues they've had. Okay. Ideally, meaning pass in KSSL last season and will take it off. And injuries be affected.
Almost was on
they became. Come, that guy is just 22 years. If I'm right, next November, or 23.
Almost improve back.
Oh, there be munya boche, there be any day me no be anyadwe.
Okay.
Boy no only born ni bo. Na say I pray say injury and sansu maybe.
Me don't see
Obeba body with time.
Come on, Biggie, found the other so mammy na Yemra. Yemre, and Yema Kakres.
One thing I've realized about football is time, any patience with proper planning. Able to make any form of success and we share the abroad. Yawahano man, you couldn't be a friend, say Comoros. Sir. Comoros will be qualified by African Cup of Nations can a problem. On men whom put on campus were Baba Bobby. But they decided some person football in Yini. Seboni Beninia, then no mobile, quite ben no mobile faso. Ah, Boni Benini. And no contacted a former Comorian footballer, our Baba coach, Ame Abdu. And no the Comoros team in Mano, say on Gina own coach. Now on Moamo, no Muntimin qualifying for African Cup of Nations. In Kakanka. Of fair players of Comorian descent, our Moaman on it, and Okeka boom Ken. He was appointed in 2014. Of far team no yen in Kakanka. In 2019, or qualified by board African Cup of Nations. First time, no Mumbo Bida. The first time now Mumbo about tournament in the Mumbo, the performance net is saying to them it was an okay performance, it was a good one because tournament Mubida. Now when you kwenya baba be wuramu de ade a ohwehwe amponi say bianka group stages bi no free no corner baby but at least obehia giant wo group ni mo a Ghana for instance otimi share Ghana Ghana free mo no qualify for the next round of the competition enti modern mon aburu to bebre e de ama omo deɛ kyerɛ me ɛne sɛ ɛbrɛ no omunyama papa no it doesn't mean sɛ wanye mistakes. It doesn't mean that there weren't times and Neman Konkai and Farmano, but yet they stood behind him. Emma qualification and almost Saka. Today, cry friend is Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, I qualify our non so-called World Cup for the first time. The same time, patience and a proper planning at the Omoko. Omo appointed Omo coach as is your handle team the Bobista in 2020 January and Omo appointed no. He's also a former player for Cape Verde national team. And I'm afraid Papa and say, after Omo Bobby, it was a plan, it was a target. Omo qualify Baba Bobby. Says you person Omo qualify Omo World Cup. Wabo national team ni bida. Dia no betimi aye dia boa Omo. Omo nyuma no be konkan no matimi qualify for World Cup no. And was okay. And ye kwan say ni e be fast. So for now, that kind of quality na e be boa ma yakọ animu no. E din si e benya bi wa. We are going to look for players. Almost how much Janibi, no more Baba be see a kind of amayen. Almost share ya to the extent, say he got on the internet. Almost play about Pico Lopez or sending a message or LinkedIn. It was in Portuguese. Message in a call, you know. Pico read the message on Tiasia because on no brofo no kaken, ya won Ireland. Or see afraid you feel sad and crampo a scam. Into a hair on do closing no penny baby tonight. 100 crampo. And him. Letter officially, and almost sending a letter in English. And I feel what Tiasia decided to be Baba Bisia kind of Eddie Amomo. Within that period, they had that kind of time. Any patience behind the coach, Bobista. Sa omo munka kanka no munko. Along the line, a prani adia bebemu, injuries baye. There is one player, Stopira, can or retire from the national team last year, June. And no giant national team ni bo. Says when you 37 years, on to mean see a kind from national team ni biom. Into a quack of penny baby at an wajana home. This year, in September, there are a lot of players on my prepara. If you here other players, they spoke to the players, say, Omra back, Omra me boamo. Quickly, and G2 and or science buy. The last game they played against Eswatini on the share last goal, which is the third goal, at the the Cabo Verdean national team. Until with time. Any patience, any proper planning. At the be person watch you as to be able to achieve. And it is one thing. A lot of the elite teams, any countries, and this time they have to learn from that. And many baby no move future football no more no. 1 or 2 bad results about pet na ye pamu coach quickly. But football no, and this a magic. Na coach ne buy na no hit the ground running derby. Obey your time no they are to turn in your man san wa ye juma. These 2 countries aye other countries na kakra bi ayem pamu coach no munso bibi mfamfrim se wunya bre na wo plan year ade bi a wo pese won saka wo football mu bia no on sabetimi aka. Congratulations to Cape Verde, they deserve it ken because they have worked for it. On my back wa on also World Cup no one qualify, but I feel say the modern mocking aso mani pa Niger no Morocco group ni mu. Zambia wom. Zambia coach any Avram Grant. It is a per country in that group. Ebi obe you so no be qualify for the World Cup. I am sure say edi obi abebo Morocco. But we Morocco wie. Na ye bisa say nkuro na aka no. Why na we feel say obetimi a qualifier? And I say be obenya the second spotter. I am sure say na nko obi abeka Zambia. Yeka Zambia, if 2012 football African Cup of Nations. They have become a force at the point Tomo call from yes. But it doesn't take away that kind of quality Omo possess. Any ball I no more. Especially when they got a Avram Grant. Any ball kakra the last African Cup of Nations on the boy, you know. A man for sure says so munya sa trust in the woman. But Niger team no ekova Zaki Bedu and the buy as the coach. So I'm not boa omo e will qualify anymore. Papa na juma na aye. Onya 15 points in that group. On the second. And the kind of projects Nigerians also starting again. A juma na Comoros mo ye. The Cape Verde mo ye. And the Cape Verde qualify Eco World Cup no. And no be na Nigerians also was here. Zaki Bedu so make sure say obest sported talent. Omo betimi abo omo ye eligible so omo si akan de manager. No ma baba be si akan de amomo. As we speak, omo national team nikita about 4 Ghanaian descent. Omo si akan de momo. Omo last game omo ball qualifying round. Omo ko share Zambia 1-0. I was Zambia home. Player we share goal no Daniel Sosa. A Ghanaian boy. and as you see a kind of manager. Na Jibi Yakubu, and so one team who is a Ghanaian. Our dinka see a kind under 17 under 20 or Ghana. It is our project in our countries be no munya resource no. Zaki Badun Swasha ye be manager. And he deserves that kind of mention. I am sure say or building upon Kakana Washa say no. Now to also with this Ebiana maybe beba ye be World Cup qualifier. Said ye ke Verde mo kona ye do home komono. Na ye baba benya Niger. Onu to betimi akwa pim at the world stage ken. Nigeria say one qualifier and World Cup. They shouldn't blame anybody. I omo ankasa nepe. And abanesa.
Nigeria.
Yes. Look at the kind of quality players in Nigeria kita. Mijitu say football no and strikers in kwani the ball. That is for a fact. But at dear back then, a boa Barcelona ye Barca under Pep Guardiola was the kind of attack, especially like Messi and Barcelona war. So that time no, Gerard Piqué, Nicolas Puyol, bad, they were very good. And you goalkeeper Verde. But that triangular defense, me nobody dance here. Say you're so strong, sir. Individually, Debbie. But collectively as a unit, na nyama kon kind of mamo. But our line of message ni mu hono mo. So mo consider 4 goals ah. Line of message nko betimi ahye 5 woni mu amoma we ne. Inti ne attack no. Aya na play key role in team bia performance. Who Victor Osimhen wo ho. Quality striker by all standards. Nanse ya hwa Adams performance order na di ma Sevilla. Super striker and so with all this quality. Now for coach I'm not coach in Nigeria I'm finding qualifying for World Cup. For Eric Shelley. And then the buy. The performance of Mali Cramponet saying now we're entrusted with the Nigerian national team Super Eagles. So no name na Juma just because coach Biaba omunya time on famano problem ketua bi I solvable Crampo no margina son na kono mapamano because in penifoni feels omu ne wo to me and omu de picky coaches and the fire coaches. It's in Nigeria decision to sack Geno Raw and Okoye no. Ono na only Benin Babo Benin national team coach. And that makes the game very interesting because Benin to win a World Cup now obeko.
And in Nigeria, so me to my qualify for alcohol playoff in Bia. This almost say Benin 1-0 and now 2-0.
Yes.
Normal say South Africa into me say Rwanda.
Aye.
And so now Nigeria to my playoff. Aye. It's almost say 1 and now 2. No more some other game they say South Africa and say
Rwanda. And football be able to me see. But for South Africa, I see say a day on Rwanda. Maybe omujina no. So for Nigeria they can blame you on kasa omo.
I was a Ghana for the grand president Nigeria for qualified didn't you? No time ben no.
Vuru kekintia.
Oh. Yeah, yemfa nsuo na menim komo kakramra na